Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream. My name is Matt Bailey. I'm the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia. Really appreciate you tuning in tonight to another live stream, talking all things whiskey. I think my mic's peaking a bit, actually. That's frustrating. Oh, because the level's pumped right up. There we go. Turn that down a bit. Here we go. I think that makes a bit more sense. That makes a bit more sense. Here we go. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Matt Bailey, National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Talking all things flavor, Kool-Aid. I maybe mistitled the video a bit, but I hope you'll come along for the ride with me. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about tonight is some recent news that I've just discovered in the last 15 minutes that I might incorporate into this live stream. I'm also going to attempt to make myself a bit of a mishmash of a Sazerac. Now, the reason for that is a good friend of mine and a good friend of the Society's, Amy, has come up with her own business, which is fantastic. She's based down in Melbourne, and she set up Shop Ikigai. She's very graciously, this is not paid promo or anything. She's very graciously sent me a box of goodies. I always love a box of goodies when they come through. This is the Adagio box of male grooming products. She saw that I had a beard on the live stream, so she very graciously sent me that. And a sampler of bitters. Now, I'm going to be honest. Every time I think of bitters, and I'm sure most of you are the same, you think of things like probably just Angostura bitters. The world of bitters is so much bigger than that, and it deserves a bit of exploration into the flavor of those bitters and why it's so important and how the evolution of such changes the drink. I'm going to make a Sazerac, and it's going to be probably the worst Sazerac I've ever tasted, but that's okay. What's the code on that one, Morsey? Now, I was quite inspired by an article actually written in Outturn a couple of months ago by Alex Moores, our state manager in Victoria. Alex, big shout out. I know you're watching. Now that comment with his comment was in regards to drink the whiskey, not the Kool-Aid. If you want to read that article, it's in full on the SMWS website. Just go to smws.com.au/news. And if you want to try any of these bitters that Amy has set up through Shop Ikigai, just check out them on Facebook. That's probably the best place to connect with them, or shopikigai.com. That's IKIGAI. Worth checking out. It's really cool that she set this up. It's a whole new project for her. They are purveyors of premium beverages and booze-inspired beard and body care. Booze-inspired beard care sounds like my kind of game at the moment, but it's looking rather trim at the moment. I just trimmed it today using that Adagio set, so thank you so much, Amy. I'm going to try and make a Sazerac, and whilst I'm getting that prepared by rinsing the glass with absinthe and all sorts of stuff, and yes, I have literally 200 mils of absinthe. No, 100 mils of absinthe in my office. This is it. It's I can't get the lid off that. It's a French, there we go, absinthe, of course, should be. Licoriste de Provence, I'm not going to say it properly. Versinthe de la Blanche, absinthe, 55% ABV. Now, you've got to rinse the glass with it, the mixing glass with it, so I'm going to do that now. So I apologize in advance to my floor that's going to receive most of this absinthe back again onto it. Smells pretty powerful. It's always got that aniseed note to absinthe that I'll be honest, I don't enjoy as a standalone smell. Let's not spill any of that. So you're supposed to rim the glass with it and then pour it out. So my office will smell like aniseed for the rest of the week, which is great. And I'm just going to bring up our next little screen here, actually. And I want to talk hype whilst I'm preparing this cocktail. So you've seen me prepare a cocktail before. That's okay. We're just going to go to the other screen just for a moment now. Actually, I can do both. Look at this technology. How did that work? Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to make this on the little screen. You can watch that on the big screen, or unless it's better, try it the other way around. Look, it's one or the other, isn't it? It's really small or really big. Okay. J Hodes, I'm not making this with the new US rye, I'm afraid. There are some ryes. Look, I'm going to put myself back on big screen just for a second to talk about this. There are some American whiskeys coming through the society. I know I've said that a few times, but all good things take time. I've tipped that out now, and I need now I need a sugar cube, and I'm going to grab. I'm not very organized tonight, so I'm going to bring this up on the big screen here so you can see what's going on. Now I'm going to start by talking about this is 93.124, recently sold out. We don't have really any stock on the website at the moment. I do apologize in advance for that. Not in advance. I'm just apologizing full stop because where am I? What am I trying to do here? Yeah, this will work. Okay, sorry, I'm just confusing myself with my project here. So I've added the cube, I've added the Sakura. I'm just adding this. I'm just going to add the bitters. Now let's have a look at this for a second. I'm just trying to show you this on the screen. Actually, it makes a bit more sense. Amy's very graciously sent me some samples. This is a Japanese bitters, Sakura bitters. I reckon I'm going to go with actually the Shiso bitters. And the reason for that is because that's the cocktail that she recommended on the site. I'm sure I have some. That's all right. It's too late now. I won't be able to find it. I'll leave you guys all waiting for me to find something in my office. That's the story of my life. And I'm going to add a fair look at the color on that. Fantastic. I'm going to add a bit of bitters to that now. There we go. Actually, I'm going to do a bit of more of a generous splash on that. Like a bit of power in there. Let's have a smell of that so far. Wow, wowza. Okay, and then I'm going to add. Now, I don't have a society cognac, so I'm going to use an Armagnac. I've got A4.5. Robert, if you're watching, a cup of kindness. It's one of 488 bottles, one of the A4s. I'm going to go with 3/4 of an ounce for each of these at the moment. The reason for that is I've got a long night ahead. So I'm going to go one of those. Now, I also don't have any society bourbons or ryes on hand at the moment, but I'm going to try a sweet whiskey that I know would work well in this context, and I'm going to use less of it because I know it's going to overpower that A4 tremendously if I try and do that. So I'm going to use like half an ounce. Oh, better look at the ounces instead of mils because that's what I'm going on. May as well start with on the right side of both. I'm then going to add a splash of water. I'm going to add some ice. And I'm going to give that a stir. How are we all going? Look at the color on that. Live stream bingo. Because everyone is bored, so they just want to buy whiskey. Story of my life. So I'm going to give that a bit of a stir. That should come out really nicely. I don't need that anymore. Now I've got that glass nice. Wow. I've got that glass nicely chilled now, as you can see. And I'm just going to grab my strainer. These are really easy cocktails you can make at home, by the way. I'm just going to strain that in. Lovely. I probably should have added a dash of more water, but that's okay. I'm just going to give that a squeeze. The lime, you're supposed to use lemon, but I'm going to use what I've got. There we go. Now, it's a very low profile cocktail here, but I'm having a half size, so I can enjoy the rest of my evening. Not completely written off, I'll be honest, because I've got some, like I say, long night ahead. We've got some meetings coming up tonight, which is quite exciting. So I'm going to go back in now to, I'm going to show you my hype story and some news from today. Here's 93.124. It's a whiskey so nice, I bought it. I love it. It was one I bought for myself as well. It's an oily and coastal 16-year-old Campbelltown distilled 2003 from Distillery 94. Good question there, J-Hodes. I did. I opened a B5.3 on stream, which was a 16-year-old single cask bourbon. That one is no longer with us, I'm afraid. That one is well and truly dearly departed. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Sent a few samples out, helped out, and yeah, you're right though. Cocktails are very social, and it's even if you never really make them at home, it's a good opportunity for you to try. To be honest. Zach, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry to hear that. To be honest, look, This is what I want to say actually. I've got you here, whilst we're talking about this, there is more 93s coming through, and they're fantastic. There's some absolutely ripping 93s coming through. We're working on August out turn at the moment in September, so we're looking at some 93s down the barrel, which is very exciting. Jim Finnegan, good to see you, mate. Oh, when you're home alone, yeah. Look, I don't normally either, but I'm going to enjoy this one. I'm going to give it a try now. That's an excellent Sazerac. That's actually far better than I was expecting. That's the perfect balance of the lime, the absinthe-rimmed glass, the Armagnac, the whiskey. Look, I used Armagnac instead of cognac. I used whiskey instead of bourbon. So, you know what? That can be a bit of time to experimentation, but that bitters that Amy sent me is absolutely ripper. And so big shout out to Shop Picky Guy there. She's done a great job with that, setting all that up. And big shout out. Here we go. I'm going to... Oh, you're cracking the 3am doner kebabs this weekend. Look, it's a big whiskey. It's quite dirty. It even says on there, animalistic, meaty, coastal, and otherworldly. Hungry, a curious potion, essence of gravel. It's a big whiskey. It's got a lot of like very oily, gravelly notes in it, which is fantastic. So with that said, I'm going to move to the next slide, however, and I want to show you what I mean by hype beast. So that's the current. It took a few days, I mean, maybe even a week or so to sell out. That's 93.124. I think our 93s are absolutely fantastic Campbelltown whiskies. Now let's go one slide across. Ooh, what does that say? I've photoshopped the code. I might even zoom in for you if I can. It says 3am doner kebabs, 27.124. Now I want you to take a guess. If that said 93.124 versus 27.124, which one do you think would vanish the fastest? I can guarantee without a shadow of the doubt the 27 would. It would be gone in an instant. These distilleries that seem to have this hype around them, never mind that the distillery 93 and 27 are around the corner from each other. You can just walk between them. It's not like a lot of distilleries in Scotland where you've got to go for a proper hike to get to between them. They're right next door to each other. So getting overly excited about distilleries that I think are a little bit unnecessarily hyped is something that I think we could all learn a thing or two from. So Jay Hode says, just want to enjoy a neat spirit by myself. When I'm with friends that don't really like or appreciate whiskey, I don't mind mixing and enjoying different flavors. Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, I love making cocktails when people come around. I think it's part of the flair, part of the excitement, some of just the whole flair and excitement of making it. A lovely cocktail can be a great way to just for entertaining. But of course, whilst we're at home and maybe you've got social distancing where you are, maybe you're isolated and maybe you're living in Victoria, my apologies. Then maybe you'll have to try something a bit different there. Mark Teague, anything with an A4, says Rob. Look, I totally agree. A4s are the bomb. Matt's guide to flipping and collecting. Just edit the label. So what you can see I've done here, and it's a bit cheeky, I know, but you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Cool. Jim says, you inspired me to try whiskey sour tonight. Going to try juicy yet mouth drying. Do it. Why not? And you know what? Use good whiskey in great. I've just made a cocktail right now, tonight, as you would have been, as if anyone's been watching for the last 10 minutes. I've just made a cocktail of 2 Society single casks. Why not? It's your spirit. You do what you like with it. You enjoy it how you want to enjoy it. I can't stress that enough. I even discovered this last night when talking on the live stream. If anyone caught the whiskey roundtable last night, great chat with those guys. Always love hanging out with them. Scott Fitzsimons, Andy Milne, Alex Dallenberg, and myself, the 4 of us talking nonsense, which was great. And so it's always great to have such a great audience asking questions as well, like yourselves. Whoa, almost knocked my drink off the table. It's only my first one. Okay, so I'm going to bring up our slides again here. I'm saying that what I've done here is compared, we're comparing 93.124, I'm getting my numbers mixed up here, to if the code said 27.124, it would vanish. Have a read of Alex's article, but I just want to hammer this point home that people focus way too much on distilleries, and we still see that. Oh, when I get messages almost daily. No, not almost daily, at least daily, if not sometimes hourly. When is the next, distillery code 2, 27, 33, 7, whatever the code is, it doesn't matter. People are always asking, when's the next distillery custom that code coming out? They're so atypical of the style of the whiskeys. Then if you get too wrapped up in what you're drinking in code hunting, you miss out. You'll honestly miss out on the flavor. The elements of flavor that are the most important part of what it is. So Oily and Coastal 93124, great whiskey. Like I said, so good. In fact, I put my money where my mouth is here. I'll show you on camera. Here we go. 3 a.m. Doner Kebabs. I bought one for myself. Great whiskey. I'm going to crack that soon. But I didn't just say it. I think it's a good whiskey. No, I liked it so much I wanted it. 76, exactly. 68. Joyous Chaos last night. Thank you so much, Rob. It was good fun. Fantastic love stream. Shame you cut off at the end. More spilt drinks after. More split drinks after. Look, Caleb, it was a very fun night last night. I'm not dusty today, but it's the first night I've been out in a while, so maybe a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my screen here. I'm just going to go with by showing you that, yes, if you focus too much on codes and say that I'm waiting for this next code, and by the way, Rob, there are 76s coming through. Mark, there's 68s coming through very, very shortly. In fact, it's 68. 90s, the 76s are a little bit further away, but they're still probably this year. And we've just got like these great whiskeys that I think we get too wrapped up in code, and that's why I want to be a bit cheeky and Photoshop that label to show that if that cask was 27.124, it'd be an absolute hype beast, a 16-year-old single cask from that distillery. But instead, I think we all need to pay a bit more attention to some of the casks that are coming out and fly under the radar a bit. And there are some delicious 93s coming through. So keep your eye out for that. Worm Tub It Up, exactly. Now, this is the cocktail I've just made for those wondering. For those wanting to try it at home, that's the Shiso Rack. I used the Shiso bitters in that case as well. And that's what it is. It's a Sazerac with a dash of Japan. Rinse the glass with absinthe, crush a bit of sugar cubes, saturate it with bitters, 60 mils of cognac and a splash of water. I used it I did split cognac whiskey, or in this case, Armagnac whiskey, and then stir, strain, and pour into a pre-rinsed glass and garnish with a lemon twist. I garnished with lime. I didn't do a twist. I just garnished with lime. But do it however you want to do it. And big shout out to Amy. She's doing great stuff with the Shopiki guy there. So thanks again for letting me sample the bitters on my live. Waiting for R&B codes. Help. We've had a few R codes recently, Jay Herds. We've had R11.6, I think. Sorry, R11.8, I think. I have to check. And R1.5. R1.5 is a ripper Moni Musk. That's fantastic spirit. We always get a pretty good supply of R casks, but they come in and out. You got to remember the stuff like this, like bourbons and ryes and stuff. They're very much at the periphery. They are sort of special little things we do along the way. Maybe half a dozen or more a year or so. I'm not sure. Well, I am sure, but it's about that many. But sometimes there's a bit of a drought. Sometimes there's a glut, and that's the way maturation goes and supply goes and relationships goes. That's what it means to be a part of a whiskey club. If you wanted something that's the same every time, you could just go to get a Glenfiddich every time. And there's great whiskey, don't get me wrong, but that's not what unfortunately, whiskey clubs work a little bit differently, as I'm sure you know. So I'm going to go back to our slides here. Now, here's some news. Here's talking about hype and craziness. Here's some stuff that I saw today that I want to share with you. Bacardi Limited unveiled their first spirit designed by women for women called Plume and Petal. Now, I don't want to get into this whole sort of gender and spirits conversation tonight, but I only just saw it and I thought, you know what, this is really hot. This is really hot off the press. And I thought this is some of the worst product integration and placement I think I've ever seen in my life. Now, the reason why I think this is also quite interesting is because, Caleb says he's got the yuzu version of those bitters. That one, Caleb, I've got a little sample, but if you've got the real size bottle, that's even cool. That's very cool. Actually, I want to smell the yuzu ones. I haven't even opened these ones yet. Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I'm going to use that one in like an apple whiskey-based cocktail, I think. That smells fantastic. It smells all citrusy and lovely. So I don't want to talk too much about this tonight, but I want to touch on this conversation I had last night with someone, actually with Alex Darlenberg from Whiskey Roundtable and Speakeasy Group. And I think she was asking me what's the male-female membership split in Australia. I think it's close to about 28% or something like that. Female to 72% male or something like that. It's very close to those numbers. We have one of the highest female membership demographics in Australia. How does that happen? It happens because we don't genderfy our events or our whiskey. It's a case of actually making great making great events that are approachable, that are affordable, that are fun, that you learn from. And that's something that I love in a society event. It's that it's an open door. Everyone's welcome. There's very few member-only events throughout the year, actually, but there are some coming next month, which are, and our virtuals are member-only. Our virtual tastings are members-only. And I think that's really important that we're here for our members, of course, first and foremost, and we don't genderfy our events or our product, and more importantly, our product in some ways. I mean, but look at this. I'm not bashing them, but I'm saying I think it's a very very strange decision to release Plume and Petal, and then of course I saw a very funny headline which followed on that said Bacardi decides feminism involves floral drinks, launches Plume and Petal for women, and it's just I think it's just terrible marketing and terrible product placement. A question from Rob here. Are there stats on current gender breakdown of the whiskey community overall? Yes, there are, Rob, and they exist through the IWSC platform, which is a report that is done every year on buying patterns, consumer behavior around the world. And Australia is one of the markets that gets that report. However, that report is very expensive. We don't have that report on hand at the society because that's why we're able to offer the whiskey at the price it is, because we're not buying $8,000 reports. Now, those reports are huge, hugely researched aspects of the community and who buys what and where and when. So we have got some aspects of that report on hand at the society, and we can't divulge that because that's a paid report. It's not very interesting, but it's the gender splits. I don't think that's really a thing. I think that was for SMWS. And I'll wait with wait for the US releases with great anticipation. And Jay Herds also says, mate, I think 2 of my top 3 whiskeys are from SMWS now. Oh, that's awesome to hear. And I've only bought 10 bottles. I can't wait for the US releases. Loving the SMWS experience. Jay Herds, I love hearing feedback like that. Honestly, it means a lot to us hearing that, because sometimes it feels like a one-way thing. It's like we're making sure we put all these great outturns out. Andrew, as cellar master, is picking the cream of the crop when it comes to the actual casks he's picking out for outturns and getting in. We're all working quite a bit on what goes into an event, of course. It's not just sort of like picking out 5 or 6 casks and let's use those or whatever. It's kind of like the flow of where they fit in an event or in a virtual box. So there's a lot going on here, of course. But I just love that. I love hearing feedback like that. So I really appreciate that. And we love you being a member, because it means you get to come along for this ride with us on the live streams, have a bit of fun, drink some great whiskey, engage with the society community as you can on Facebook with our Facebook group. You can a bit on Twitter as well and a bit on Instagram. It's great. But the whole worldwide community of the society, it is a global club, as you know. One of the key benefits of being a member is being able to travel to the vaults in Queen Street in Edinburgh and experiencing the members' rooms there, and of course the new Glasgow rooms, and they're all open pretty much from today, I think, again in the UK. Not that you can get to the UK very easily at the moment, unless you're probably a diplomat or something. But it's one of those things where it's once that channel opens up again, it'll be fantastic. And we've got some, like I said, I know I say this all the time, but honestly, August, September, October outturns coming up, which are the last 3 outturns of the year before we hit the big festive outturn in November, December. That's how quickly the year is going, by the way. If you feel like 2020 has been a long year, statements like that might make it feel like a short year again. I'm not sure. But I like the fact that we sort of, we're learning as we go. We're all adapting to the current scenarios, and we're all having a lot of fun along the way and sharing and great things as we go. Great comment from Irina. Yay. Feminine drinks at half the ABV would rather drink tea. This is what I mean, Irina. We've got a very strong female membership at the society in Australia, at least. And we don't, our events and packaging, and it's not gendered. None of it is. None of it goes, well, here's a pink. We're going to introduce a new pink flavor profile because, yeah, women like pink, don't they? That's ridiculous marketing. That's just a way of saying that we don't know what to do, so we're just going to put pretty colors on it or something like that. I've been a bit absent from lives recently, spent all my whiskey money, so stayed away so I wouldn't spend. This isn't a sales pitch ever, Jay Hodes. This is just me being able to have a chat with you all and learn something and teach you something along the way. This is just part of our education. And I love that if we could do it during the day, we could do one during the day, we could do one during the night. Doesn't matter when we do it. That you get a kick out of it. We get to enjoy it. That's come along for the ride, and I get asked some great questions, and I get to talk about really interesting things, like flavor profiles, like assessment of whiskey flaws, distilleries, fermentation. In fact, I've got a great session coming up soon. We're going to be talking about the inner relationship between beer and whiskey. That's a special guest coming up. That's hopefully next week. And B, another special live stream on someone who is a professor in fermentation. Wouldn't that be cool? And having also other ambassadors on, Chloe Wood, Matthew Ferguson Stewart, Martin Mark Vardson. The list goes on. We've had so many great people join the stream. Dan Woolley. And I hope to get a lot more people soon. And Jane Overeem, even now that interview was hard because the internet was having issues, but we're going to go back live with Jane and Mark soon. Oh, talking a million miles. Yes, a good point there. I can't see who wrote that comment, but they say, as a member going abroad, always check for society partner bars. It's a good point. I actually do like pink and flowers and wearing dresses, though. Wouldn't mind a high tea whiskey event. You know what? Feedback like that means that we're not going to necessarily do a pink floral flavor profile, but it might mean we could do a society whiskey high tea. Why not? Why not? And once now that restrictions are starting to lift, and well, we'll see. We'll put it in the calendar, Irina. It's feedback like that, which means that we're able to shape our experiences for our members' demand wherever we can. And we've got some rippers coming up, including 3 micro events in the latter half of August at Archie Rose. We're going to be coming back with the pop-up bar. You've heard it here first. We're coming back with the pop-up bar, pending all things going well with the world. And there's going to be 3 micro events on each night, which relate to the pop-up, including something which is a members-only, very much exclusive event, and will be priced at $10 a ticket. You heard that right. And another event which will be a heresy history lesson, where we're going to open all the heresy releases from Exotic Cargo forward. Cool. Okay. High tea with all the Ardbegs. We do have we could do something like that. We do have some sneaky things in our archive. We could do a high tea with Ardbegs. I'd have to wrangle them out of Andrew's hands. I think he's got some plans for those. And I wouldn't mind a Scotland Society event. Hint, hint. Callum, I know what you're saying, but you know what? Tours are pretty tricky at the moment. But we're working on a few things. Okay. And love the Blenders event last year. Oh, Cal, so did I. That was such a blast. And we've got, like I said, some micro events coming up with Archie Rose, which are going to be fantastic. Well, I'm really looking forward to that. So in the meantime, I'm going to wish you all good night. Thank you so much for our half-hour slot, our regular live stream. Tomorrow night, let me announce it now in the last few minutes we've got here. Tomorrow night, we're going live for just a members catch-up. We're going to do the old-fashioned Zoom, and we're going to say a big sort of we're going to have a chat. I'm going to encourage as many Victorian members as possible to join the live stream tomorrow night, and we're going to do a big Zoom catch-up, just like we did a few weeks ago, and we did it week after week. This one's a big one for all the Melbourne members, especially all the Victorian members who cannot go to bars, cannot get out and about, and might want to just join in and have a chat and talk whiskey. So that's going to be tomorrow night. I'm going to open a society bottle tomorrow night, something nice, see how we go. And it'll be a big shout out for everyone who's coming along the ride. Please join us tomorrow night on Zoom. The link will be in the Society Facebook group later tonight or probably tomorrow morning. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. And I will see you all tomorrow for the Big Friday Zoom. Cheers, everyone.